want to say welcome. Today it is Tuesday, Fashion Tech Tuesday. Okay, Taylor, you're there. Are you alive? What happened?
I don't know, dude. I have never in my life experienced what happened. Oh, and it keeps telling me that my connection is lost, but I'm still connected.
Ah, the wonderful world of X.
You can try and see if there's an update that you need to do for the app. Sometimes it gets a little wonky like that, and then cycle back into it. Yeah, because I've never experienced that ever in my life. It literally.
Oh, and you're rugging right now. LMD, can you hear her? I feel like I should.
I can. Don't do Taylor like this, X. Come on
now. Taylor, we can't hear you. I don't know if it's your internet connection, but all right, we're gonna get started. Sorry, we're starting a little bit late because of technical difficulties, but it's Tuesday, and okay, now she's declined to co-host on X, so she must be having connection issues. But welcome to Fashion Tech Tuesday, every Tuesday at 11 a.m. I can't believe it. It's already been quite a few ones that we've done. I think we've done 5 already. So I appreciate Taylor for coming through, even though she's having technical difficulties today. LMD, appreciate you always holding it down. And yeah, let me just get into it. I mean, a lot has happened over the last week. And I was playing some intro music with Kendrick Lamar, as you guys heard. I'm a huge Kendrick Lamar fan, hip hop, but we're going to ease into it very easy. So if you are listening on X, then I pinned the tweet to the top. If you are listening from different locations, because today I'm actually streaming on YouTube for the first time. And the reason why is because I had a couple people on, yes, for those of you guys who are in Web3, don't like centralized media, social media, they were saying that they don't really come on X too much. So I am streaming from YouTube for the first time. And actually, there's someone who joined here. So I see you, the fashion brand guru, Sophia Coleman. Hello from New Orleans. Thank you for joining in. But we're going to get into it really quick. And we're going to talk about Kendrick first because I let us in with 2 songs because I was also finishing up my Twitter thread here. But y'all, Kendrick Lamar is the newest ambassador for Chanel. And if I did my research correctly, I wasn't sure. I was trying to figure out if he was the first Black male rapper or Black rapper who is an ambassador for Chanel. They've done a lot of K-pop stars, but I was really happy that they're tapping into kind of the cultural capital, and the business of music, fashion, art that is Kendrick Lamar. Huge fan. Whether or not you love or hate his music, he is a 17-time Grammy winner and a first rapper with a Pulitzer Prize. And if that doesn't intrigue you, I definitely think that it should, because this is actually a very, very big deal. So I don't know if you guys have been following this. And I actually wrote something because Kendrick Lamar during the Super Bowl back in February, he made headlines. And even before that, he has had custom fashion. Like, he's actually a fashionista. And I wrote this takeaway back in February saying, streetwear and luxury brands take note, expect flared jeans, custom leather pieces to go mainstream, because if Kendrick co-signs a trend, expect sales to spike, street style domination, and even fast fashion brands jumping in with a quick production turnaround. So, thoughts, LMD, Taylor, on this, and anyone else, you're welcome to come up to chat about this.
It's Kendrick Lamar. Yes, fashion, art, tech, and music all combined. It just makes sense. And I'm so glad that this is the collaboration that's happening. I'm fascinated to see what is going to come from this. What? It's going to be beautiful. Definitely agree. Regardless of how you feel about this person, you cannot deny the pulse that he has on the fashion and the things that have come from just him being him and his way, his brand, and how it has influenced so many, and I mean, just raw talent. So kudos.
Yeah, and just full disclaimer, I am not Black, but I am very happy, and I think everyone should be super hyped about this. Like Met Gala Black Dandyism is coming at us that I covered as well. Like we need more diversity on this space and open tables. And that's basically why we have this Fashion Tech Tuesdays space, because fashion is literally the most, or one of the most gate-kept spaces. Oh my God, I see Vu. Vu, let me know if you want to come up. I haven't seen you in forever. But yeah, I mean, it's just one of the most gate-kept spaces, so I'm super excited about that. Taylor, any thoughts on Kendrick Lamar, Chanel? He's the ambassador.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's going to be interesting to see how he influences that space, right? I think in more so in like the, I don't know, hip hop and like, I don't know, just like the hip hop and like more like rap music space, I would say. Yeah, I would not imagine Chanel to be that. I don't know. I feel like it's more like you see a lot of like Louis Vuitton, right? Like I feel like that's like that was always kind of the brand that they were representing. So it's interesting to see Chanel tapping into it, and I think it's a really good thing for one. But I would like to see how that influences, you know, the average everyday person, and will that affect the brand as a whole? Because, you know, people are influenced by the people that they aspire to be. So in general, I think it should and probably will make a pretty drastic change, but maybe it won't. You know, it's always kind of like interesting when we see these shifts and these movements, and like I don't know. I'm very curious to see what will come from it, or if anything comes from it at all. But I do think that it'll make a difference. I think it'll impact the brand greatly to be represented by him. So, because he really does have like a huge impact. Just across the board, I'm like, my neighbors are constantly listening to his music. I like constantly, like I have my windows open and they're like always have Kendrick Lamar on. It's really funny. But just in general, I think like it's going to impact the fashion world for sure, having him like represent them. So I'm excited to see where that'll kind of go in general.
Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting. I mean, again, just like following the culture and what's been happening. I'm so sorry. People are cutting grass outside, so if you hear that buzzing, it's not me, it's the grass cutting. But Taylor, you just made me laugh because you were just saying that they were playing it on repeat. But literally after and before the Super Bowl, when Kendrick Lamar's album dropped, I just remember feeling like I heard mustard like everywhere. So it's just, you know, his songs and the way that he, whether or not it's trolling or a diss track or just like the lyrics of what he's able to create is incredible. And there's just been a lot of movement in terms of like American hip hop being placed in fashion. Aesop Rocky, Ray-Ban, the first creative director there, which I covered a few months ago, I want to say. But that one was also a really big one because it's so interesting because the comments across different social is very different. BOF also on LinkedIn, people were pissed. They were like, this person doesn't have credentials, people need jobs, da, 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 da. And then you see like, you know, the hype squad of people who love Kendrick on Instagram or other socials. And Actually, I'm just going to address this really quick. So I am streaming for the first time on YouTube because I had a couple of people ask about it. Again, this is a very new space in terms of Fashion Tech Tuesdays, but Sonia said that she's here for the first time. And M on X, I saw you too. You said that you were here for the first time here. Welcome, safe space. Y'all are welcome to come up. Don't feel uncomfortable. And actually, my friend Snap Boogie, who is a dancer, and he did the Kendrick Lamar song at his NBA halftime show, just said mustard, and we happened to be in New York at the same time and made a little video of him screaming mustard through the New York City subway. And obviously no one cares because it is New York City. And we're going to move on to the next story here, which is very clickbaity, and I talked a little bit on the reset, but Phia. So it's an AI resale app, and it's literally changing how we shop. And it's Phoebe Gates. Okay, yes, Bill Gates' daughter, Phoebe Gates, and Sophia Kiannia. She's a Gen Z UN advisor and an activist. She launched, or both of them launched, this AI-powered shopping app, and it literally scans 250 million resale listings. And we're talking about through every major platform: the Real, StockX, Poshmark, other platforms as well. And I was providing market sizing the last time that we were on conversation, but I think that's super interesting because the market for resale is huge. We're talking about a $21 billion market, and AI makes it frictionless to shop and also sell smarter. Currently, it is only on Apple, so iOS. And it literally made me go down this rabbit hole of Japanese eBay. If you haven't heard of it, it's where a lot of people are shopping for luxury, but obviously do your own research. But I do want to get into a couple fun facts about this, and then I'm going to open up the floor to anyone who wants to talk about it. But I did write about this in my newsletter. I literally wrote, I'm on the screen right now on YouTube, but 3 fun facts. They dropped out of Stanford to launch Phia. Number 2, they have a podcast called The Burnouts under Alex Cooper on Well Network. And number 3, their first guest was Kris Jenner. Obviously, no big deal that it's Kris Jenner. And the last fun fact that I didn't include on here, but Bill Gates has actually come forward on some media saying that he did not specifically invest in their platform. So I want to get into this and just talk about it first, about what your thoughts are. Have you played with it? Have you downloaded? I can get into that later, but Taylor, curious to know what your thoughts are on this.
Yeah, I watched their interview and stuff of their team members, and kind of did my own little research on what they're doing. I do think that it's really cool, and I mean, being in the digital fashion space and being in the fashion, interested in the fashion space in general.
Yeah.
I was interviewing people about AI and AI shopping experiences 3 years ago, probably.
Mhm.
And so I kind of knew and saw this coming. I think it is cool to see the younger generations starting to build things in that space. And I don't know. I think it's going to transform. We're going to see so many products that are going to come out over time that are going to make our lives easier. Sometimes it's products, it's just about timing. Mm-hmm. And so they're tapping in at the perfect timing. And just listening to them speak, listening to their team speak, they are young. All of them are the majority of their team is fresh out of college. But they have advisors and all of that as well. So I think the biggest takeaway that I had is just that it's a very young group of individuals that are growing something. Now, does that matter? Mm-hmm. Not necessarily. But to some extent, they don't necessarily have experience in building products. But, I don't I don't think that necessarily means that it's not going to do well. I think they're solving a problem and have a use case. And then they also were talking about focusing on potentially adding in something of being on the seller side and not just focused on the consumer side for the future, which I think would also be cool. There's definitely, use case and purpose for it. So I don't know. Overall, I think it's I haven't played with it at all. So I don't know what I haven't downloaded it. Have you downloaded it yet, Janey?
Yeah, I downloaded it. So it's super interesting. I mean, I love your takes, obviously, of what you're sharing. And I chuckled to myself as you were mentioning, they're young and they're just starting out. And just real quick, I want to get to this comment on YouTube. I appreciate her. Sophia said, please let me know if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. By the way, I'm sorry about that in advance. She said, yes, I've been craving a space like this, worked in fashion marketing for 25 years, pivot to AI integration, tech. I love that. We're totally here for that. And this is exactly why, we are doing what we're doing out here with Fashion Tech Tuesdays. But on this note, I did download the app, and it's not even an app, just so I'm clear. So basically you download it, and it is an app, but then it's not an app. As in, it's a plugin to your Safari. So basically when you shop online, you could literally on your phone, pull down Phia, and it will literally pull up all the different places. So just say there's an example with like a Tiffany, and I'm not a Tiffany customer, by the way. It's just not my vibe, but that's a whole nother conversation. But literally you pull up and you can see Poshmark, the Real, everywhere that's selling that item for resale. So you have an option to buy that's not directly from the brand or from a retailer, and you can get it at a cheaper price. Obviously sustainability, circularity, things like this. But my thing that I'm a little bit I need to do a little bit more research on. That's why I haven't written anything a lot more detailed about this on LinkedIn. And I'm also, trying to put together a little video about this, is that you need to give it access to all your browsing history on Safari. And I just really, I give away this, if you're using Rakuten or Ebates or something like that, basically you shop and then they give you, some money back because they're tracking all of your data, your dwell time, how you spend your time on the internet or e-commerce. But at the same time, something about this just makes me wonder. So I need to look at the TNC a little bit. So in the meantime, I did get it access to track, but I want to dig into the TNC a little bit more. But I can see this being, something that's interesting, because I'm just going to get into it very quickly. But the playbook that I see with this in terms of either shopping or selling smarter is that you can list items based on real-time pricing. So you can check all the pricing across all the different, it's an aggregator. So if you shop and you use something like ShopStyle, for example, it's like that. Also, it tracks categories, so you can see what's heating up or cooling off. And for anyone who's in Hype Cycle or the resale market, or if you're a DGen, then that basically you can time the sales and the buys based on the Hype Cycle highs and lows to sell or to buy something. So I think that's the truly interesting part about what they're actually creating. But I think it was interesting also, Taylor, because Bill Gates came out and said that he's not investing in the company. But if your last name is Gates and your dad is Bill Gates, automatically you are a shoo-in for a lot of press, media, and hence even my title here, Bill Gates' daughter is Fashion Tech with Phia. This is a major opportunity, which, whether or not you're a smaller business or a brand or a startup, you may not get as much play, but I feel like it's an overall W for the industry, at least in my perspective. But yeah, Taylor, any thoughts on Phia and what's going on?
Yeah, no, I think what you were just saying too, just made me recognize, that in the sense of, a few things, a few things. The Bill Gates daughter thing, obviously, yeah, okay, so he's not necessarily investing in it, but how many of his friends did, right? Like how many of his
100%.
because and there's nothing wrong with that. That's just a part of life. Like people are going to support those who are coming from families of wealth. Like that's just the reality. And she's smart. Like she's very intelligent. Just like listening to her speak on the topic and like love the drive, love the passion. I think we need more of that. And so I'm not against that whole side of things. Like it is what it is. Not surprised to see her succeed already, right? But then it's interesting to see, or like to go back to what you were kind of talking about of like the buying and selling. And I think it's really a great tool, not necessarily, I mean, it's a great tool for everyone, but I think if you were, buying and selling products to make a quick buck, if you are, already, I have a friend who, he plays soccer and he's like really into all of the different cleats, right? So kind of a niche category, but he's like really quick to like buy a pair of cleats that are coming out or whatever, that are, there's not very many of them. He's quick to buy them and then he ends up reselling them. I'm like, this is a tool for someone like that is really looking and I think anybody could use it, but I think it's definitely would be more beneficial to someone like that versus like, oh, okay, whatever, like I can get this for a cheaper price. Cool. But like, would I necessarily want it tracking all of my stuff? Like if I'm just the average consumer, probably not, because there's like plenty of other platforms that you can get discounts and whatever else, like coupon stuff. But yeah, so I think it is kind of a specific user. I think it can be used by everyone, but like how much of that data are they using just for them? Are they selling data? Like I would be curious to hear more on that side of things too. Are they, what does like data ownership and stuff look like when it's literally tracking your every move? Because I don't necessarily want that to be seen, right? And I think privacy is a huge piece to all of this AI stuff that's happening. And we've kind of had a few chats around that as well. Just in general.
Yeah. Oh my God, there's so much to unpack in everything that you just said. But the first thing that came to mind was this whole data privacy thing, like what happened with, Disney Plus and Disney when, someone had passed away from like allergic reaction. They had signed something with a Disney Plus trial and then they weren't allowed to actually sue, right? But I will have to say I'm also guilty of this too. Like who actually reads the TNC for everything? But then now as AI is taking off, I mean, I hear people saying, and LMD, we've been in other spaces where people are like, oh, I always say please and thank you to my AI because I am worried when AI, has a mind of its own. And, we have these conversations that there will be AI agents and they're going to be working and talking to each other. And I remember one of my friends, she's creating an AI agent, or she created an AI agent, and she was saying that, it was also about whether or not your agents are nice to each other, but it's like, how are you actually monitoring and looking at that? So it just opens up a lot, especially with the age of AI, of how to maintain your data privacy and what that looks like. But I think for Phia, for sure, like the way that not Bill Gates, what Phoebe and Sophia actually speak, they're super intelligent. Do they get a fast track pass because of their father, or sorry, of Phoebe's father being Bill Gates? 1000%. It just literally puts you at a different trajectory. But again, I mean, I can also imagine I am not in that position, but if your father is someone like Bill Gates, the immense amount of pressure that you must feel to actually carve your own path and to succeed. But I mean, it's also a privilege at the same time. So it is what it is. But LMD, I saw you came back. But I don't know if you heard about Phia or you had a chance to catch up on my newsletter with that news. But do you have any thoughts on that one?
I did catch up, and I am aware. There's a lot to it. I agree with what both of you have been saying, and I did have to do the update. See, you make a suggestion, and then you get kicked for not doing the suggestion. But either way, we're back. It is one of those things where you have to look at it from multiple perspectives. Yes, we understand that there is certain things that are always going to come with who you are when your parents are who your parents are. There are ways that if she did not want any ties or any association at all, there were ways to move around where there would be no name association on the top level, but in all the paperwork and all the behind the scenes for all public to know, it would be known. But there are certain things that, the double-edged sword of that, like, well, why would you disassociate, and then why would you associate? So, she's going to get flack one way or another. The app is very interesting from the technical side of it. I do think it's like things that we've seen before, but not in the magnitude or way that it has been developed in this sense. So kudos for that. Would I be the market for it? Not necessarily, but I am interested in watching how it develops. Definitely curious about all of the data, where it goes. Very curious about that always. And just very interested to see what will come from this, because one person creates something, and then of course there's spin-offs and different things and whatnot. So seeing where this goes for fashion tech and things of that nature.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's definitely a very, how do I say this? Either you're someone who does resale for a living, or you just consume a lot of items and you need to do a price check on it. But like the data privacy thing, like it just kind of reminds me, and I'm not saying this specifically for Phia, but just in general, like 23andMe. I mean, when people were telling me they wanted to send in and get a DNA test and like their ancestry, and I was like, oh, hell no. Like even before Black Mirror, I was like, this is not something that I want to get into. And then, 23andMe was, linked to BlackRock, which is one of the major money institutions of the world. And you wonder where the hell your data is going and how that is being used. But it's just like, we need to be more aware. And, I'm guilty of this as well. But what does that actually look like, right? But yeah, I mean, I want to move to another story, which is super interesting in this day and age. So I'm a huge Alicia Keys fan. Huge hip hop, huge music. Jokingly, I told someone the other day that I was a trainer for K-pop because they were a musician, and they were like, "Oh, for real?" And I was like, "No, absolutely not. Like, do not come at me because I'm Korean thinking that I am like a K-pop star. Like, I am very shy in singing and dancing. I got a little groove, but like, no way can I do all the K-pop dances." But Alicia Keys, so if you didn't know this already, she has a beauty brand or skincare brand called Keys Soul Care that is been created and supported by Elf Cosmetics or Elf Beauty, which you may know them. And they partnered with the Skin Deep to launch a storytelling campaign, which I thought was super interesting. And for me, like I want to cover news that people want to know within fashion, beauty, fashion, tech, AI, but also the cultural side of things. And a lot of it for me is highlighting, different cultures, whether or not it's hip hop or actual like, race culture, and making sure that they get play, and just being a huge fan of Alicia and what she's doing. I felt like this was major. We talk about AI, but I think with this story, what's super interesting is that she is trying to build loyalty through not just product, but emotional storytelling. And I found this article actually from Hypebae. I love Hypebeast, Hypebae, and just what they're doing out there. But I just thought it was super interesting They've already done 3 episodes. You can watch it on YouTube. And the way that they have, you know, put together this idea of like growth, you know, your life, you know, community and what it looks like to take care of yourself, I thought was actually a brilliant play to support Key's Soul Care. Because the other thing about this product is that in their packaging, they have sort of these like phrases or encouragement affirmations that are actually from Alicia Keys. So again, maybe not the usual, you know, tech AI story, but LMD, Taylor, any thoughts on this idea of emotional storytelling to sell your product and your, you know, the culture of your product, the community versus straight up sales?
Most certainly, and definitely shout out to the fact that you tied in so well that K-pop and everything, it's International Dance Day, so shout out to that. And to the side of it being emotional storytelling, I love the fact that with Alicia Keys weaving in, we are our brands. We are the things. That's why we love the artists so much. It's not just the what they sell at package level. It's really who they are behind the scenes, who they are as a person, their day to day. So weaving in and really highlighting the storytelling aspect as someone who's come from the performing arts is something that is crucial. It not only allows the impact to not just be about a sale, but it allows that to be a moment of an energy release that is not like anything else. Mm-hmm. And when someone is able to experience their favorite artist in intimate ways, that is like, oh my goodness, this is what they say to themselves in their mirror. This is what I can say to myself. And I'm channeling what I love about my artist, but it is also healing me. It is so powerful and impactful and will go so much further than just how to make a sale.
Mm-hmm. No, I love that perspective. Taylor, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think right now on like the social side of things, we're going to see a lot more people start transitioning in this way. I think that storytelling and being able to authentically relate to the person who's telling the story, no matter how big or small they are, is what's starting to actually connect and resonate with buyers a lot more. Mm-hmm. We're seeing it. I mean, it really started with, in my opinion, with UGC and creators, like influencers is really where it started. Then people started doing, you know, user-generated content that was like representing brands and storytelling behind that. And now you're starting to see it with larger creators where they feel that they can like connect better with their audiences. So overall, I see this becoming a huge trend in how people are going to be selling products. They're not just going to be selling products the way that they did in the past. Mm-hmm. I think that has completely, like, that ship has completely sailed because people want to buy products from people that they can relate to and resonate with. So it's at the end of the day, marketing is never about what you're selling. Coffee is coffee is coffee is coffee. But what makes the difference between buying coffee from this brand versus that brand? It's how you connect with the people that are selling you the product. It's never about what you're selling. It's about how it's sold to you. So at the end of the day, I think that this is going to be the way that people are going to be, you know, selling products from here moving forward.
Yeah, no, I love that. Coffee is coffee, as I just drain my coffee right now.
Yeah, but I mean, like, that is like what really started selling, you know, just in general. That is like kind of the way that things have been, like the trajectory of things have been selling. So seeing now, you know, people of the public, right? Like in the public eye, mm-hmm. celebrities and stuff actually like selling their product and not just having other people sell it for them. Because I think that that's really how it was before. It was really like, think back to like the 90s and like 2000s and the way that ads were back then. And they were always like really clean and polished, and with like social media, it's really forced us to transform that, because on the other side of the you know, phone or whatever it may be, it's just a normal consumer, an average person. So it's like, I think being able to connect and having those like storytelling aspects is how people are connecting on the other side of the phone, and they want to buy products from people that are like them. And so celebrities aren't necessarily like them, right? So how can celebrities relate? How can they tell their story and relate to the average consumer to sell a product? Sorry, you just got me on like something. I'm like, this is like something that I think about often, I guess. Like the social media aspect of it. So I love the topic change.
Yeah, no, me too. I mean, these are things that we nerd out about. That's why I look forward to having this conversation. And it becomes one of those things where, I didn't see a table that existed. So I was like, you know what, F it, let me just create the table and then invite my friends to come and yap and chat about things that I'm passionate about. And I mean, we've talked about this over the course of like the last 5 or so Fashion Tech Tuesdays, but you know, is fashion necessarily and beauty on X? Not necessarily right now, but fashion tech is, taking off. And so what does that look like? And I think to your point, it just made me think about Emma Chamberlain. So obviously when she first started out, she was a smaller creator and she's now blown up. And she was even, is it MC or host for the Met Gala last year, actually. And it just made me think about it because people were just saying like, oh, we can't relate to her anymore. So as people, grow their community or their fan base, whatever you want to call it, or however someone looks at it, I think the idea of community is just so much greater than customer, right? You can sell the shit, excuse my language, out of something, but if people don't resonate with you, then what's the point? And I think it also boils down to like, what are you trying to sell and what's your experience level, right? And I think, Taylor, you were referencing earlier about, Phia of them being very young, but they are very smart, but also not as experienced. Of course, like God knows who their advisors are, who are going to be able to instill like, 50 years of knowledge within, Bill Gates's circle. But I think it's also about finding that sweet spot and continuous. But I think for the case with Alicia Keys and what she's doing is that she's bringing real people into these conversations versus necessarily just herself. So I think that was a very interesting part of her, pulling together this conversation and, building community. And just the last thought that I had on this was, this whole idea of like Web 2 versus Web 3, right? Of this whole idea of owning your community, owning your data, just ownership in general. But what does that actually look like, right? I mean, a lot of us got into the NFT hype cycle. I literally paid massive amounts of tuition to NFT projects that completely was a soft rug, a full on rug, basically scammed. And people think because it's an NFT project or Web3 that they should have ownership or rights to do something. But it's like, you're not part of the executive level team or the board to be able to make those decisions. So it's kind of finding that sweet spot of, not over promising, but also the fact that certain things don't have regulation yet, especially in Web3, blockchain, AI, all these different areas. But I think this is a great example of what it could look like. And I'm just going to get to this comment really quick on YouTube. Santhia said, I'm going to try to imitate her at LMD. I'm not you. Nice. Yes. Worked out of New York City and was remote before it was a thing. LOL. I would love to connect. I'll sign up to your newsletter. Appreciate that. Working on my consulting now for sure. And she has 20 plus years of experience. So I definitely appreciate, just seeing people pivot into this space. But okay, we are 8 minutes from noon. I'm going to give you guys some options, LMD, Taylor, or if any of you guys are listening, want to talk about a particular story. But we're going to end with either Gap using robots for fulfillment tasks, Jacquemus. There is also Coco Gauff, Miu Miu, New Balance collaboration. Any preferences?
I'm interested in Miu Miu and also the robots. I'm like curious about that, only because I think there's a lot of people that are afraid of like AI taking jobs, and that sounds similar.
Yeah, no, 1000%. Okay, let's start with the easy one. We'll start with Coco Gauff and Miu Miu New Balance. LMD, do you have any preference for anything, or are you good?
Oh, I'm Cocoa Puffs for both, so yeah, we can go A and B.
I love it. All right, so let's just go through Coco Gauff and New Balance. First of all, she looks amazing. The outfits, tennis court, makes me want to play tennis, and at least I will look good, even though I suck at tennis. But I really appreciate it because Miu Miu, obviously, it is one of the hottest brands right now when it comes to fashion and even the resale market. And New Balance, Boston-based sneaker company, but Coco is actually helping to debut this line, and she's kicking off tournaments in Rome, Berlin, Cincinnati, and I'm actually reading from the Hype article here. And I'm super interested because a lot of it is like technical, fashion with hoodies, track pants, different things, and it's co-branded across Miu Miu and New Balance. And she also developed her signature shoe called the Coco CG2 that was designed by both New Balance and Miu Miu. And I think that this is super interesting. It is going to launch in September 10th. So this is a very, very early press release. We're talking about in April, and they're, saying that they're going to announce this in September. But it's going to be exciting because I think probably they are timing this with Fashion Month and wanting to make sure that this gets played during that. I don't know if it's going to be included on the runway, but possibly during some satellite events. But brand partnerships, whether or not it's, athleisure like New Balance and Miu Miu, to even food and fashion, tech and fashion, like we're seeing a lot of that. But have you guys seen the Miu Miu New Balance collection? I did. I can also post it in the comments while you guys talk about it. But what are your thoughts on this?
If only I had the price, the packet, because they're so fire. They look so good. They make you want to do the things. Like, look, I'm like, okay, so I need to get a set for my daughter because then she'll be back out playing soccer. She can't play soccer in these, but it'll inspire us to get out on the field. Like, they're gorgeous. They make you want to be athletic, and oh my gosh, I want them so bad. And I'm not even a sneakerhead type individual. I used to be once upon a time. I wear my stuff more than I wear anything else, but this would make me go back.
Oh, girl, me too. And I just pinned it, or I just dropped it in the comment down there so you guys can take a look, and I'll pin it to the top. But yeah, what do you think? Taylor, have you seen it?
I was just looking at them. I hadn't actually seen it. I love Miu Miu.
Me too.
Like, have always been obsessed. I don't know. Their stuff is just always unique and fresh and different, in my opinion, while still staying on trend. So I have a love-hate relationship with New Balance, but they're trending right now. So I think those two being aligned and combined is actually, like, I really like the way the sneaker looks for sure. And just across the board, like, everybody right now, the like tennis skirts and stuff are so in because everybody's been playing pickleball.
Oh, girl,
I think everybody is like playing.
Don't get me started on pickleball.
I know, but everybody is like looking for cute pickleball outfits. Like, that's like something that's trending. So I think that they hit the nail on the head for like this. I don't know, for this collab. It definitely is along the trends of what people are looking for, right? For like the average consumer. So I think they absolutely crushed it.
Yeah, I love this. I just need more budget to be able to buy this or like snipe it on the secondary for the DGen speak of what that looks like. But no, tennis core, pickleball core, pickle core, whatever it's called, like it is everywhere. And we just like have this thing. It's like, what's the decision? Do you get all the outfits so you look cute or do you learn the sport first? I feel like
I think everyone is getting all the outfits to look cute. Like straight up. At least, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that for like internationally, but at least here in the States, I don't know, we love our athleisure. What can we say? You gotta look cute. Gotta look cute.
And anything can be converted into a workout. I mean, I was making homemade whipped cream and I was like, engage your core because you're going to eat whipped cream. You know, I mean, so, you know, have a cute fit while you do it.
yeah, it's super cute. And I think, yeah, a lot of times you have to show up, come correct, and actually look the part. We may not be, you know, the best tennis player, Serena or Venus Williams or anything like that, but we're doing our best, okay? But yeah, let me move on to the other story, which is Gap. This is from Retail Touchpoints. Why Gap turned to robots for an unpopular fulfillment task, unloading boxes. And to be honest, this kind of gave me like tariff and also just what's going on in the world in terms of employment and things like that. But basically, a lot of jobs at the distribution center, like for example, unloading boxes from a trailer or container or things like that, there's a risk of injury from the DC, which means distribution center for anyone who doesn't know that lingo. But they interviewed someone who's the SVP of Global Logistics and Operations at Gap. And he was basically saying it's hot in the trailer in the summertime, it's cold in the wintertime, and it's heavy all the time. And basically, they work with a company called Boston Dynamics to create these mobile robots that have computer vision and can maneuver in any direction, navigate around obstacles, ramps, and their footprint is the same standard as standard shipping pallet, meaning that anywhere the pallet goes, that it follows. And the robot is equipped with capabilities including label detection, automatic orientation, adaptive vacuum-based gripper to handle the different packages. And there's a video actually on Retail Touchpoints, which I actually linked the article in my newsletter. But it's crazy. It says the robot enables Gap to process 10,000 cases per day, which normally takes 12 to 15 people to accomplish. And now one worker can supervise the operation of 2 robots, which help to run the operation 7 days a week with minimal staffing. It's definitely giving back Black Mirror, but at the same time, again, what could this look like in the future? And they're beta testing right now at the New York distribution center facility. And they had already done a pilot out in Tennessee, and they're rolling it out into 3 other sites, Ohio, Texas, and California. And it's super interesting because they're saying that online fulfillment demands about 5 times more labor than restocking retail stores. And that's where they're using the robot because, the various tasks, the box sizes, the weight, and environmental conditions. So there's a lot here to unpack, but LMD, Taylor, and I see OBL, you just came through, and also hello, Gecko, Lack, M, Vu, Engine, I see you guys coming through. You're welcome to come up, but LMD, Taylor, what do you guys think about this robot humanoid situation?
You go. LMD, go.
It's such a double-edged sword. So, one, surprised that it hasn't rolled out sooner. To be honest, I mean, if you are curious about the robotics that are out in the world right now, I mean, honestly, follow DARPA and you're like probably 10 to 15 years behind. So for me, I'm surprised that it hasn't on this side of things rolled out sooner, but also I do see where they are pitching it from the human-friendly side of things, but also, I mean, we all have seen every sci-fi movie that ever was. And so we have to find the balance of and the collaboration of robotics and humans. It's just like AI. Like we can't have one without the other, we need the homogeny of both to make it work and to make it a place where there's positive future things and outcomes, in my opinion. So I'm here watching.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't know. I just think that this is kind of the path of something that's not to say unavoidable, but to some extent, like, this is the direction that we are going to be going. And I think that it, to some extent, like the safety aspect, I think does make sense. And people are very opinionated about that, but they're not the ones that are in that environment, right? Majority of the people that are working in those environments, probably know how unsafe it is. And not to say that they want their job taken, but I don't know. I think it's all just perspective. Majority of these people, like majority of the people that are fighting it aren't necessarily the ones that are in that environment or in that space whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, this made me think about something. I had a conversation with someone, and I don't know if I should be talking about on X, but whatever, we show up real on here. But about safety, but also who is working these specific jobs, right? And I think it's not something that people normally talk about, but I had a conversation with someone, and they were talking about, I'm like debating on whether or not I should talk about this, but illegal immigration, and also the fact that these people have social security numbers. I didn't even know this. Have you guys heard of this before? They have social security numbers and they pay taxes. So, there is awareness that these people exist, and a lot of them are working at major retail distribution centers doing these jobs. And so it's kind of, again, you guys were mentioning double-edged sword, probably more from like a robot and AI versus human perspective, but we're also talking about how this is going to disrupt that side and that economy of what is actually happening for a lot of the blue collar jobs when, robots actually take over and you don't actually need people, because whether or not someone is willing to work minimum wage, or you're going to have people who are undocumented actually work these jobs. I mean, more jobs will open up because of AI and robotics, but at the same time, a lot of the jobs and a lot of people will get left behind. So, what's the way to mitigate that risk or to help them so that they don't actually get blown out of the water or literally obsolete, or they can't make their living. So, I was having a conversation with my mom the other day, and we were talking about ChatGPT, and she was saying, like AI scares her. She doesn't want to deal with it. And I totally get that. And I was telling her, like our homes in the future are literally going to be completely smart. And we've seen a lot of that from, a lot of these, Netflix shows, for example, but what does that actually look like? Right. And will our parents' generation be able to handle a smart home, or do they need to be kind of a little bit smart, but not quite there yet? So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on this topic. I feel like I opened up something that I wasn't planning on, but it was just like a fascinating topic that when I heard, I was shocked because I didn't realize this whole thing about undocumented and people who are working in these jobs.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's like pretty common. It's not just like the facilities; it's big in like the farming world too, out in California. So, I it's hard to say. Like, like to see what side I stand on, right? Because like I don't necessarily think that it's wrong, but I don't necessarily think that it's right at the same time.
Mhm.
And the whole like undocumented people and stuff. If I can be frank, like our like our economy has kind of run that way for a really long time. Like, this is not something new. And to some extent, I don't want to say that we kind of need those people, but we do, because a lot of people don't actually want to do those jobs. And so that is like, it opens a whole nother can of worms. And I'm not like a super political person, and I don't really like stand on one side or the other.
Yeah.
I just see it as like what it is, right? It's not so much of a like black and white, right or wrong. It's just like, okay, well, this is how it's been for a really long time, and we kind of need those people because no one else is going to actually want to do the job, right? And we see it that like when things go into place, like a lot of times, like when new laws are getting placed where it's, trying to solve that problem and make those jobs available for citizens and everything else, what ends up happening is those jobs don't get done and no one ends up taking them. And so like it's like, okay, now what? So it's just it's honestly an interesting problem to have. And how do you go about solving it in a way that's going to benefit everyone? And I don't know if, I don't know, I guess maybe this is a way of doing it, right? Like now it's just AI that's going to be, or like robots that are going to take those positions and those jobs of the people who, like that it's not getting filled by the average person. So I guess that is like a solve, but is that helping anyone who actually needs the job? Probably not, right? Like it's really just going to help the company cut cost and make the company more money, and the company is the one that's already like doing well, right? Like the people who need the job. I don't know. I'm ranting, but it's a whole. It really is like a whole like can of worms, because at the end of the day, it's like cutting the cost for the company and the people who are already making a shit ton of money. So I don't necessarily agree with that side of things, but yeah, that's just my 2 cents on it.
2 million cents, my favorite word now.
Yes, 2 million cents. It's like I need to take that, because I always say I feel like I'm the one that's always saying that's my 2 cents. Okay, 2 million cents, and your cooker bean cups. Like I literally have been like thinking about that so much lately.
I love that. We totally just opened up a can of worms with the whole non-documented, but also like how this is an impact. I mean, like I'm in LMD, I'll go to you in a second, but like I was thinking about this because when my parents immigrated from Korea, they literally worked 3 or 4 blue collar jobs. I'm talking about like they were a cleaner at a, Holiday Inn back in the day. They waitressed, worked retail, babysat, did all these sort of things, and were working probably like 12, 15, even longer hour days to make things work in a country where they didn't really speak the language that well, right? And I mean, they weren't illegal. They came through a green card, but I mean, regardless, I mean, whether or not Americans want to take, Taylor, you hit on this, a specific low income, or sorry, that kind of a wage to do these jobs, and plus with injury, what is going to happen, right? But also at the same time, how do we get, different people across different spectrums of the income brackets to actually learn about AI and robotics and to future proof themselves so they don't become, replaced by AI. And I think a lot of the anger and the hatred about AI and robotics is because people are scared. And I mean, we talk about this day in and day out, and I'm scared out of my mind too about what the hell is going to happen. But at the same time, it's either you learn and you leverage, or you literally get left behind. And I'd rather learn and leverage than get left behind in this whole damn situation. But again, like whether or not it's the government or education systems, Like there needs to be more opportunities for people to get educated and to actually disperse, opportunities and income as, the AI era comes upon us and literally everything gets shaken up. But LMD, I'm going to go to you first and then Taylor, if you have any thoughts, LMD.
Oh, there is so much to be
I know.
said. So much to be said, but y'all touched on them, on the various double-edged sword of it all. And also, with the fear of what comes next, with any major shift, because obviously what comes next and what we're in, we are seeing the birth of a new era. Things are going to be very different than they were before, and not as it is when people are saying, oh, year by year things get, no, this is a huge shift that is happening. So yes, apprehension is needed. It is, if you weren't apprehensive, I'd be concerned. I'd be like, hello, are you seeing what is going on? One should always be aware of all the sides of it. So knowing that, yes, the technology and emerging technologies brings a lot of new, but also understanding that there will be sides that have to be rooted in completely non-digital things. So once again, we will need certain people who are allotted to, I will not be tied to the digital. We're going to need those people.
Mm-hmm.
But we're also going to need the people who have moved beyond and have been waiting for this moment to happen for so long, because both are needed for us to succeed.
Like literally we could do a whole space on AI opportunities, education, and making sure people are aware about it. And I think a lot of that conversation and opportunity is happening on, as much as I love X, and it became a lover of X. I see Dave out there. Thanks for joining. Also, Amelie Gecko and OBL. Some of the OGs within the space who have been, hosting spaces and kind of encouraged me when I first started out a few years ago. But I also think that there's a massive opportunity on other platforms as well, because I think people are more like fearful and scared on those platforms than they are on X, because here it's a very like tech orientated conversation, or crypto or AI or whatever it is. So people are more willing to experiment versus on other platforms. Like the amount of hate and trolling that I got from Studio Ghibli on Instagram and TikTok, like it was just wild. I mean, those videos went viral, but I also thought it was hilarious at the same time, because I'm like, you can't stop what's coming. It's already, Pandora's box has already opened with AI. So either jump on the bandwagon or, get left behind. But Taylor, I know you had your hand up earlier. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, you were like talking about, AI taking jobs, and like I had mentioned, we were like talking mostly on like the lower price point, but I mean, I got replaced. Like I personally was replaced, like to some extent, because we started using an AI agent. And I kind of knew that was a potential, because for those who don't know, I'm running social media. Like it's not rocket science. And like, if you can literally create an AI agent to comment and respond on things, it's not super difficult to do, and build a brand voice around it, and give it assets to use, and this, that, and the other. So I pretty much got replaced by AI myself, and it's like, and I have the knowledge and I know how to do all of those things. But it's just cheaper. It's easier. They, they can build it themselves because they were already building digital product. So it's not just, those lower price point jobs that it's coming for. Thinking about all of the lawyers and people that were, writing documentation, and now you can literally just put it in ChatGPT and it pretty much gives you documents. Like there's all of the programs and platforms and such. So yeah, I mean, I think anybody to some extent can be replaced, unless you're a physical labor job that is like, you're working on cars, but even that could be potentially a robot that's fixing it, right? I don't think we'll see that for a very, very long time, but there's like potential for it for everyone. So it's just interesting to like see it happen so quickly in some industries. But I think it's also just the space that I was running in, right? Because it was like the Web3 space. So being replaced by AI early on by brands that are already aware of it and know how to do it. So yeah, I don't know. Everyone's kind of just got to figure out their role and how to get ahead of it for sure.
Yeah, a lot to unpack there. It's like you use the tools or you train your team so well if you're in mid or higher level management that when cuts come in terms of layoffs that you're impacted. And obviously, I'm very sorry to hear that happened to you, but you also have some things cooking. So we're going to get to that as well. But I think in this situation, in terms of getting replaced by technology. It's not even just AI, like it's already has happened over the course of the years, right? The Industrial Revolution, and now AI is just coming fast and furious in a way that is completely unprecedented, which I feel like is the scary and exciting part at the same time. And yeah, I mean, like AI agents, like that's a whole nother area that, is a can of worms, Pandora's box. But I do want to end on this note and just give, LMD, Taylor, like quick, 1 minute, what you guys have going on, how we can support you, and then we'll close out. So LMD, do you want to go first?
Sure. Oh my goodness. Yes, no, the double-edged sword. I just so much. I love this space. This is amazing. Thank you so much. Janey, Taylor, oh my gosh, this conversation, it just elates my soul. So very quickly, one, be remembering that, sometimes the power goes off. So also remember that side of things. But that was the last thing I wanted to say on that side. But as far as support goes, tonight you can catch me on Taco Tuesday.
Oh, can you pin that to the top?
Yes, indeed. I will be the featured artist, so I will catch y'all there. So yes, indeed. Thank y'all.
All right, cool. I will definitely go. I've been meaning to go because of Safi, but I just haven't had a chance to. But I will definitely go for you tonight. And Taylor, how about you? I know you got some social things cooking. You're doing a lot of the different things.
I'm doing all the things.
I know.
I have been like in the background building things to, I don't know, create my newfound future, I guess you could say. So if anybody's interested in social media coaching, I am doing that. Just DM me. I have started it at like a beta of 10 clients for $100. So it's a 3-week crash course on, just building your growth on social media and using all of those tools that, are replacing people. So kind of helping people with AI and how to integrate that into their business and help them grow their business. So it's broken down into two classes each week, one which is a one-on-one class and one which is a group class. So it's actually a lot for only $100. But it's a beta and we're just getting started, and I'm really excited to kind of help people grow their audience and build their brands. So if you're interested, just shoot me a DM. And also come to these spaces on Tuesdays. We have been doing them week over week, and it's really just great conversation. Constantly follow Janey and LM Designs and all of the people that are here listening. It's a great little community that we have been building. So thanks, Janey.
Hey, I appreciate you. And I realized we didn't even follow each other on TikTok and also LMD recently. So we've been doing that and just like trying to support each other's content and engage. But okay, Taylor, I think we have to have a side conversation because we never really got into the social stuff that you do. And girl, I need some help in my AI solopreneur drowning journey. But I appreciate you both. Just for me, very quickly, honestly, I actually shared on Instagram and TikTok, and I think on LinkedIn, not on X yet, but basically the series that I've been doing called the Runway Diaries, which is basically just behind the scenes of me building in public and kind of what's been going on and just this narration storytelling style. And if you asked me if I was going to show up without makeup on any stream or be public about it 5 years ago, I would have laughed because I was always full makeup, eyelashes, the whole deal. But I think there's something about, just this freeing aspect of showing up as yourself and authentically that I'm coming to know. And I'm also learning about what to share and what not to share. I know we got into the some interesting conversation earlier, but I just feel like I want to be authentically who I am. And it's really hard being corporate coded. But I did take a break this week from other shows, including Monday Mukbang, which Dave has been joining me on, because On Flow came down last week. Sorry, TMI, but I just needed to take a beat and just like rest. And also, I wanted to take some time to study a little bit of AI and figure out what exactly I needed to work through and work on, as well as like the roundtable and the podcast. So we'll be back next week. So stay tuned for that. I guess support for me, honestly, it would be if you like this news or enjoy it, then go subscribe to my newsletter. I am actively trying to grow that and also debating now between Beehive and Substack. So that would be super helpful. If you know anyone who's interested in, the beauty, fashion, retail side of tech and AI or could benefit from knowing it, I think it would be great if you would be open to sharing that with other people, just because I think for me, it's been a labor of love, something I'm passionate about, but also I want to make this my real job and real thing. So anyways, I think my little situation or what I just shared is definitely longer than 1 minute, but sorry about that. I told you guys 1 minute, but it went a little bit longer. But I appreciate all of you guys for joining. Definitely, it's a small, burgeoning, growing community of people who love beauty, fashion, tech, AI in this space, especially on X. But I definitely want us to be the OGs within the space. How I can help, how we can help. I mean, this table is something that we've created, and also just for anyone to just jump up to speak. And I think that's the key of doing this. I am going to experiment LMD Taylor next week with doing video, not just myself, about doing a video stream. While I guys have you guys on, any thoughts? Do you guys want to join that video or you guys prefer audio?
I'm down to join video. I have no problem with that. You can force me to get dressed for the day.
I'm here for it.
I'm definitely here for it, Janey. So just let me know.
All right, cool.
I know that X video can get a little wonky. It gets a little rocky just from what I've experimented with and seen other people do. But wherever you want us to be, if I need to be on TikTok, let me know. YouTube, you let me know. I'll be there.
I appreciate that. I do. I mean, I think because the thing is, just really quick, and if you guys have any thoughts on this, let me know. I wanted to do an audio spaces so people would just come freely and just like to chit chat and to talk about it. But I also want to experiment with video just because I feel like video gets a lot more traction in terms of, and that way I could actually share screen on X, because on YouTube right now, I'm actually sharing the screen, but it would just be easier to do it on one platform because I literally have my phone in front of me, and also YouTube and just like streaming from a different platform. But, I'm all for experimenting. So I appreciate you, Taylor, LMD, for holding it down. And on that note, we are going to exit with another Kendrick Lamar song. Which song should I play? LMD, Taylor, do you have any suggestions? I played TV Off and Not Like Us.
You just play whatever your heart desires, Janey.
Okay, hold on a second. I am going to unmute and we are going to play Squabble Up as an exit. But y'all, thank you for listening and to being a part of this conversation. Let me play this. And I think it's going to play in the middle. Let's see. All right, thank you guys. I appreciate you. Have a good Tuesday, rest of the week. Support Kendrick Lamar and Chanel. Not that he needs it from us, but appreciate him and all that he's doing. Thank you, LMD. Thank you, Taylor, for holding us down. Dave, OBL, Black, M, Boo. We have to catch up. Janey, I appreciate you guys for coming through. Take care and have a good rest of the week. Thanks, Janey. Bye.